Good evening and welcome to Wildcat News. Today's edition will feature renovations for Ogden's Marshall White Community Center, a look into WSU's preparations for Utah's first congressional district debate, an update on Wildcat sports, and stories from around Ogden. So sit back, relax, and we'll tell you all about it when we come back in just a moment.
Let's dive right into it. In international news, Cuba legalized same-sex marriage on September 26th. In a new referendum passed by the National Electoral Council of Cuba, there will be greater protection for women, children, and the elderly, allowing LGBTQ couples to marry and adopt children.
That's always great to hear. Weber State is celebrating Hispanic Heritage Month with a variety of activities during September and October. Ogden provides ripe ground for the celebration, as the city's Hispanic population is over double Utah's average. An exhibit will be on display in the Shepherd Union for the entirety of October.
In local news, Broovy's Pub and Movie Theater in Ogden closed its doors temporarily to the public after a burglary left the business with extensive damage. Broovy's has been open in Ogden since February of 1997.
102 people have been found dead in Florida in the wake of Hurricane Ian. Officials say that with further investigation, they expect that number to increase. Millions of Florida residents remain without power or clean water due to damaged pipes and contamination. With such high storm surges, people have been waterlogged within their homes with nowhere to go due to flooded roads and cars. Although large amounts of damage have been reported, the aftermath of Hurricane Ian is still being examined.
Our hearts go out to the victims of this disaster.
In times like this, communities play an essential role in getting people back on their feet.
Here in Ogden, we've had the Marshall White Community Center for decades to help build our community. Now the center is finally getting some greatly needed renovations. Here's Jessica Kroc with the story.
After almost 54 years since its dedication, the Marshall N. White Center here in Ogden is getting some brand new renovations. With an open house showcasing its plans, people speak out as to why it is truly a keystone to Ogden's sense of community.
This past Wednesday, at the center, we asked patrons why people should care about the renovations. These renovations include a new boxing gym, some turf, and a brand new event center as well.
It's the first building named after a person of color in the state of Utah, right? Which in and of itself is incredible. It's also a community-centered building that has served the community that it lives in for generations.
It's been in decay since I lived here in 1963, and the community could use a facelift. So I hope it leads to community development.
The center plans to break ground starting the spring months of 2023.
Onto the heritage and the really positive impact that this facility has had for the Ogden city and for the neighborhood that it sits in.
I hope the next generation has the same feelings that I have for the center, and I know it's helped our community grow together so much over the years.
With its rich history and strong influence on this town, the Marshall N. White Center is thrilled to be getting a facelift in the upcoming months. This is Jessica Kroc, Ogden, Utah.
Thank you, Jessica. With Utah's first congressional district debate coming up next week, here's some information on what to expect from the candidates.
Representative Blake Moore and challenger Rick Jones will be taking on hot topics at the District 1 congressional debate on October 10th. The debate will be held at Weber State University, where students will be broadcasting and live fact-checking throughout the night. Hot topics in District 1 include the economy, Hill Air Force Base spending, and Utah's drought.
Candidate Rick Jones will represent the Democratic Party in the 1st Congressional District of Utah debate. Jones, a 71-year-old piano teacher and retired economics teacher from West Haven, Utah, is running against current incumbent Republican Blake Moore. Jones holds a master's degree in political economy from the University of Utah. Being a strong supporter of rethinking voting rights and getting rid of the Electoral College, in favor of using popular vote to elect officials into office as well as fair taxation to be able to relinquish the stress that is brought to middle-class families across the United States from the wealthy taking tax breaks to benefit themselves. Jones is also fighting for combating climate control to save current and future generations of Americans, while reducing healthcare costs so Americans should not have to pay high premiums for prescription drugs or any medication in the country.
Moore's Republican platform runs on his belief that conservative leadership is the best thing for America's future. It would seem that others agree, as a recent poll by the Utah Debate Commission shows that Moore is leading with a 62% support rate in comparison to Jones' 32%. Representative Moore took office in 2021 following the completion of Rob Bishop's 6 terms. He believes that states and local officials have the constitutional right to administer their own elections and complete secure voting processes. Moore's previous votes on House bills reflect his stance that tax increases on corporations and the wealthy are not the way to go. Moore does, however, believe in increasing funding for Hill Air Force Base and police services. While opposing the Affordable Care Act, he does believe in lowering medical costs and ensuring that the public can opt into private insurance coverages of their choice.
With that in mind, let's take a closer look into fact-checking the debate.
Hey, this is Windsor Moore reporting from the Signpost. Here I have 2 interviews lined up to discuss the District 1 debate, where Representative Blake Moore and candidate Rick Jones will face off in a debate. Weber State students from the debate team and from the Signpost will take on roles such as fact-checkers at this debate.
The idea is that as the 2 candidates are debating, the students will be listening to what they have to say and checking any facts that they think are suspect. The whole idea of this is to get students engaged in politics. If they can go to their social media feeds and see something about politics that looks a little bit interesting, then they might pay more attention to the political race. And what isn't fun about calling people on what they say in real time?
Professor Gene Norman says that the fact-checking will take place at Digital District in Lampros Hall building. There, the student fact-checkers will be researching the comments of the congressman and post live results to the Signpost Twitter page. Student Morgan Allen, Weber State debate team member, expressed that fact-checking is right up their alley and bias won't affect their judgment.
Live fact-checking is a challenge that we're definitely up for. We love working as a team. We're really good at helping each other with find different facts in debates, and I'm excited to see how we work when it's live.
Well, folks, there you have it. Purchase your tickets from Weber State. The debate will take place on October 10th at 6 p.m. in the Browning Center. Back to you in the studio.
Thanks for that info, Windsor. I'm looking forward to watching the debate.
In other news, I have the pleasure of introducing a new recurring segment, Weber State Sports. Take it away, Samote.
All right, let's talk about some sports. After a bye week for the Weber State football team, the Wildcats prepared to take on Eastern Washington this Saturday at 6 p.m. Last week, the women's cross-country team raced in the Gons Creek Invitational hosted by the University of Missouri in Columbia. They finished 5th in the competition, with the top 2 runners from Weber State being Riley Lusk and Bailey Winter. Wildcats volleyball team, aka Cardiac Cats, defeated Idaho State on September 30th, 3-2. They also prepared for Eastern Washington on October 6th. The women's soccer team got their first conference win against NAU. Last week, the score was 1-0, with the goal scored by Grace Kirby on a header from an amazing cross by Brinley Meyerhofer. The Wildcats goalie had 4 critical stops in that game. They really helped Weber State escape with the victory. If you want to know more about Weber State sports, check out the website weberstatesports.com for more events.
Thanks, Samote. But it looks like you actually missed one. National sports icon Sister Jean tossed the ceremonial first pitch at the Chicago Cubs home game against the Philadelphia Phillies. The longtime basketball team chaplain for Loyola University Chicago celebrated her 103rd birthday a month before the game.
Here's an update on the Russia and Ukraine conflict. Russian officials have recently insisted that they have the right to use nuclear weapons in Ukraine if their territory is threatened. Russian officials have also pointed fingers west to European officials in the form of sabotage, as the Nord Stream pipeline has faced leaks in the recent weeks. The Nord Stream pipelines have been flashpoints in an escalating energy war between European nations and Moscow that has tanked major Western economies, sent gas prices soaring, and sparked a hunt for alternative energy supplies. We will provide more information on the crisis as it emerges.
As for local news, the student-run KWCR Wildcat Radio lost almost half of its space in the Shepherd Union building. The loss of space stems from the expansion of the Center for Diversity and Unity in an effort to create a new cultural center, different from the Center for Multicultural Excellence.
Speaking of the Center for Diversity and Unity, Weber State University is continuing to expand its diversity outreach program by expanding the diversity offices in the Shepherd Union Building. On the 6th of October, the Diversity Office is also celebrating its 24th Annual Diversity Conference.
This has been Wildcat News at Weber State. I'm Alexandria Bonilla.
And I'm Garrett Lee.
And we'll see you again next week to fill you in on the news made by Wildcats for Wildcats. Good night.